hop into this match. So Ronin, you guys are pretty familiar with them. They are in first place right now at 9-1, tied with Froyotech also at 9-1. EVL at 8-1. EVL was the team that was very far ahead in the standings. They were undefeated for much of the early part of the season, but then they lost their one match to Ascent, or I guess Ronin now. And so yeah, Ronin are the ones at the top of the standings. And their roster is 4-4 on Medic, Badonsky on Demoman, Rando on Pocket, Mela on Roamer, and Sugar and Yomps on Scout. And this is the most solid team in Invite right now. Would you say, Blank?
Yeah, Ronin, aka Ascent, aka Elevate, aka Exodus, which I forgot, thank you, chat, aka Lost in Translation. As, yeah, they are definitely the most solid team in Invite at the moment. They are probably the ones to beat, and, you know, the favorites. I don't see this match being as close, or, you know, with as many rounds and plays as there were as we just watched. As I think this is at best a 5-1 in Ascent's favor.
Yeah, we should probably go over the Bird Noises roster just to clue out the audience in on that as well. So we have Indust on Medic, Psy Guy on Demo, Vol on Pocket, Hellbent on Roamer, Link User, the recent addition on Scout, and then Vand on Scout as well. Bird Noises in fourth place at a 5-5 record are they're a strong team, a solid playoff contender for sure. They were looking out of the playoffs earlier on in the season, but they've brought it back, especially with that Scout replacement and Link User. But yeah, you're right. I think that Ascent are they're just so polished. They're the team to beat, like you mentioned.
Yeah, and speaking of playoff SLIN, I think right now it's a race between Bird Noises, Running with Scissors, and 20B. Who do you got taking that fourth slot?
20B, they've made some recent roster changes that I do like. They picked up Kozin, they picked up Ash, and I actually think Street Hoops are in a good position to make that fourth place. I mean, I actually predicted Street Hoops to be like third place earlier on in the season, like maybe even second place if they tried their butts off. But they lost Ninja Nick over to Froyotech now, and I think that's a good replacement with Kozin for them. But I would be very surprised if they didn't make it into playoffs. So that's a team that everyone expected to be there.
All right. Yeah, I agree with your sentiment. I think with their new roster, they're probably, depending how hard they try, which from the nights I've been ringing with them, you know, they're a lot more solid, a lot more polished. It doesn't seem like they're very reliant on Show to do everything nowadays, as like the only soldier jumping in. And I think they'll make a solid run for top 2.
Well, you bring up a good point in that you've been ringing with them, and that's the one thing, because I know that the Frotech team had briefly discussed picking up Kozin on Medic as well, and I think that's the difference between Kozin and Ninja Nick, is that Ninja Nick, he's been around for a long time, he's hungry, he wants that invite victory, and that's what he's there on Frotech to do. Whereas as Kozin, like you mentioned, he hasn't really been showing up. He's dedicated to Counter-Strike, but he's still interested in TF2 as well. Kozin, like one of the best medics to play the game. So he's a very solid pickup for Street Hoops, but it's not that dedication there, and that's the difference between like a team like Street Hoops and a team like Ronin, which is just, you know, they're scrimming 5 nights a week and they're showing up and they want to hold their spot at the top of the ladder.
That's true, but Kozin is indeed a very talented medic overall, and I think the new roster, though, they're definitely going to turn some heads come playoff times, as I think they're definitely going to clinch the 4th seed.
I think that the playoff running for that 4th spot, I mean, I assume Ronin, I assume Froyotech, I assume that Street Hoops will make it, actually. EVL are at 8-1 record, but, you know, I think the running between like them, Bird Noises, and Running with Scissors even. But, you know, Street Hoops, I'd be very surprised if they didn't take more victories this season. But then again, I've been surprised thus far that they're even at 4-5 in the first place. So, yeah, I think that bottom, that like 3rd through 6th place is close, but we should be seeing some separation here in the coming weeks. And for Bird Noises, this would be a huge victory for them tonight if they were to take one over Ronin.
Yeah, and also, I mean, regular season's regular season. Ultimately, you really see a team's true colors come playoffs.
Yeah. And we're going to head into this match tonight. Bird Noises versus Ronin on Granary. And I think we alluded to it earlier that Ronin are definitely the stronger team. Let's talk a little about Bird Noises and what they've got going for them. You got Link User, the recent scout pickup. You've got a ton of young talent on Bird Noises. How do you like them this season in general, Blank? And how do you think they've been doing so far?
I think Bird Noises, they're one of those, these are players that are developing to become better players in the future in the invite scene. All of them, I think they came out of, third place IM or something last season, so
Mm-hmm.
the fact they've done as well as they have, they shouldn't be hard on themselves. They should, roll with the victories as well as the losses. You learn more from a loss than you do from a victory, and use that as, a stepping stone and kind of motivation to improve, for their play in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's a team that almost reminds me of Ronin a couple seasons ago, back when they were under those other names that you mentioned, where they were losing to Froyotech all the time, but they're slowly, they're taking each loss with, a good attitude and then sort of trying to learn from those. And I think for Bird Noises, if they finish fourth the season, I'd be very happy for them. I think they'd be very happy with themselves. But I think for them, they're just showing up and putting in their time and getting better every time we watch them play. So really excited to see how they do here tonight. And for a team like Bird Noises, when you are in that learning phase or when you're in that growing phase, it's good to go up against Ascent when they're trying their hardest, right? And just get a taste of what it's like to play up against that top team.
Kind of, I would say. When you're getting rolled hard, it's kind of hard to learn why you're getting rolled, in a sense. Because, it's a combination of, the DM as well as the coordination. I feel like it's in the scrappier scrims with the good teams that, if you go back and watch those and try to learn, I feel like you learn a little more. But it's not to say that, playing Ascent isn't, Ronin isn't a good learning experience. It will be, but I feel like, when they just have this level of dominance over you, especially like Granary mid, if they wipe you and they're 5 up afterwards and they just walk into your lasting cap, you're not really gonna learn that much.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But I do think that Bird Noise is a team that wants to learn. I know Indus records his scrims and goes back and reviews them. And these are guys who are hungry and they want to get better. So I think that's what they got going for them, is a good attitude and a desire to improve. Let's look at Ronin real quick, because Ronin is a team. We talked about the polish. The big match this season that we thought was going to be really good was Ronin versus EVL Gaming. EVL at the time was undefeated. Ronin had taken a loss against Frotech on Viaduct, but other than that, they had a flawless season thus far. And for them, everyone thought that match was going to be close against EVL, and then they just completely rolled them. So I think, is that the case here tonight, where they're going up against Bird Noises and it's going to be very one-sided, or is it going to be a little bit closer, because Bird Noises are in fourth place? They
are in fourth, but I also believe this match is going to be relatively one-sided, as Bedonsky is I don't know if he's going to use the booties or not, but I think he has in the past, and he just has a way of locking off the crates and up top that I don't think any other demo man in Invite has to his level of perfection. As well as, Mela Bombs with Rando and the Shrugger Yomps combo. I just think that's too much for a newer team like Bird Noises to be able to contend with.
Yeah, I think Shrugger Yomps has been dominant, for the last couple seasons. I think at the very end of the season was talking about how Yomps was probably one of the most improved players, where he just seemed to come out of nowhere and just rolls the scene. And now he's right up there, competing against the top scouts in the country. So yeah, really excited to see how he continues to improve. But him and Shrugger have just been godlike. And then you got Rando on Pocket, you got Mela on Roamer, and 404 has been really good on Medic as well. And this is an unstoppable team right now.
Definitely. They just have, as well as, not only are they so many just incredible players on an individual level, but they're the kind of team, as soon as they get one pick, they're going to dry push you. If they have a health advantage, they'll dry push you. They know they have a 20% Uber ad, you're going to see them walking into you, focusing the medic really early, and backing off playing health. They know what to do, when to do it, kind of deal. There's just that level of polish. Add that in with, players like Bedonsky, Shrugger, Yomps, Mela, Rando, and 404, and you've got one scary team here, SLIN.
It's scary and it's crazy, but I think that polish, that level of polish that you get on a team like Ronin comes from the fact that they've been playing together for so long. The core of the team has been together through the wins, through the losses, through the undefeated regular seasons, and getting second place over and over again. Like, this team has been through a lot. And then those recent pickups in Yomps and before that 404 have just been seamless additions to that team. So they just seem to gel really well. They just seem to get along, and they work together perfectly. So yeah, you got a team like that, and you got up against a team like Bird Noises that are still going through changes. They recently picked up Link User, like we mentioned, and so I think that other teams in the division are also recognizing that Ronin is the team to beat. So like Froyotech, for example, replacing one of their players and they're shuffling their players around with Free State going over to Scout and then picking up Ninja Nick. I think that for them, they're recognizing that they need to make changes as well to be able to compete with a team like Ronin.
I think so, but going back to the point you made of, the core of Ronin has been together for so long. That's where kind of like a team like Froyo, where they're shuffling around the roster, you just got to find something that you're comfortable with, and you really just need to fine tune from there. To be honest, it's like your team will generally play at its best when you have everybody playing on something they're comfortable. And like if you can manage to find the right balance of like that, along with like the players you want, and then you all just play together from there, I mean, you're gonna end up with a team like Ronin.
I mean, you mentioned, yeah, I agree with you completely. Like, when everyone's playing their main classes, that's the best. So I do look at teams like Froyotech, and I think everyone in the community kind of notices how they do shuffle around their roster a lot, trying to find the right balance, trying to keep everyone happy and playing to the best of their ability as a team, but also, individually. And you look at Ronin, and everyone just, what classes they all play. Like, you're never going to see Mela playing Demo Man in a match. It's like, it's Mela always on Roamer, and it's the consistency, like showing up every time and throughout the seasons, just staying together. That's what's really going to give you that level of polish that you're going to see. So at the very minimum tonight, we're going to watch a match where we get to watch Ronin just put on a show for us, or the other option is where Bird Noises actually start bringing up rounds, like they take some middles and they really create a close match for us, or an opportunity to at least take rounds and the minimum have a learning experience, right?
Definitely. I'm hoping there's at least some signs of a fight in this game, so it'll give us something to talk about.
Well, I think when you watch a team like Ronin, it's like the gap between Ronin, Froyotech, and then the rest of the division is like, it's a pretty big gap. But you have these other teams that are closing in on that, and like you said, Street Hoops is looking like they have a stronger roster, or that they're actually going to be able to compete in playoffs. And you got EVL, who are that up and coming team that seems to have taken the scene by storm as far as their win-loss record, and then Bird Noises are 5-5, so they're exactly even. I think that when you're on an even win-loss, that's when you're like on the cusp of making it to playoffs, or it's like if you take too many losses, you're not going to make it, but keeping one win for every loss is going to keep you in there, and they're looking like they're just consistent enough to make it. But like if you get an upset win against a team like Ronin, like suddenly you've increased your chances of making playoffs by so much more. So
True,
maybe an upset victory here could be good.
I think of all the teams though, Ronin's the least likely to drop matches to flukes and whatnot, just based on the consistency. I mean, I think, haven't they had 2 undefeated regular seasons now in the past couple seasons or so?
In the regular season, they've had 3 undefeated regular seasons, I want to say,
something
for Ronin.
Because
for Froyotech, it was always this attitude of yeah, we're going to win in the playoffs anyways, so they could drop a map here or there, or maybe even forfeit when people couldn't show up. But I think Froyotech are sitting down going, okay, we got to really settle in here. We actually want to win, because Ronin looking so good this season.
Yeah, I think the gap, there's Ronin, and then you have probably EVL, 20B, and Froyo, and then you have the rest they invite, kind of like the old days, where you had the top, the middle, and the bottom. You generally had the top 2 teams, and then you had the middle of the pack and the bottom of the pack.
Yeah. I mean, even before in the preseason, you and I were talking about how we thought the season was going to shape up, and it was really interesting to talk about Ascent, or at the time Ascent, Ronin now, is because they were a step above the other teams. Maybe not a full step, but a half step above everyone else at the minimum, they're just a little bit better than everyone else. And that's why that win that Froyotech took against Ronin on Viaduct was such a big upset. They brought in Clockwork to replace Decimate, and all of a sudden Froyotech was just looking like a different beast. But I think Ronin have sort of come back from that. They've sort of settled down. They're yeah, okay, we're back in our groove again.
True, but I kind of write off that Viaduct game, to be honest, as you had a map where you could just put your roamer on perma sniper, and like soldiers aren't as relevant. And I mean, you had the Banny Clockwork scout pair, which like, if there's a scout pair you want contending with a Shrugger and Yums, that would probably be it.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to tell even what class that Manny plays nowadays. Like he's been swapping around so much. I think he's on soldier nowadays, but like oftentimes he's playing scout. He's not. I don't see him playing his main demo man, his old main, very much. But like he's always hopping around. Whereas like we said on Ronin, you got that consistency of playing the same classes all the time, which is really benefiting them. Right now it is 8:50 Pacific time, 11:50 Eastern, and teams have exactly 20 minutes to ready up. So we are on the 20th minute, Blank, and teams haven't readied up yet. So I'm not quite sure what issues they're having in the server right now, or if they're just taking their time to ready up. But we should see the match go live any moment now. Let's get some predictions in here, Blank. Ronin versus Bird Noises. You got the first place team versus the fourth place team. What do you think about this match?
I'm giving it to Ascent 5-1.
5-1 to Ronin.
Yeah. Ronin. Ronin 5-1.
So I would actually give a Ronin a 5-0. I think they're going to take every round. So I'm just curious to think, like, what do you think is going to be the play or the opportunity that gives Bird Noises that one round?
It's the mid. This mid can be a coin toss sometimes. And I mean, if they're like, on pretty much most of the other map pool, I would just say it's a roll. But I'm still saying, because of it's this map, there's the offbeat chance they pick up a round. And I mean, they have 5 chances, you know. If they manage to win one of them, it's like, then it's potentially 6 mids, you know, rather than 5.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, like if Bird Noises come up with a sneaky middle play or something really unique, or like a one-off cheese play, right? They could potentially take down 404 and then give themselves a chance to like just roll it into last before Ronin can do anything. I think that would be the opportunity for them to take a round, but I think that's going to be very low odds. But you know what? The odds that we're giving Bird Noises are way better than whoever set up the SLIN.tf match page, because they only gave Bird Noises a 1.5 point handicap. So 96.8% of the bets in this match are for Ascent. 3.2% of them are for Bird Noises. It is one-sided as hell. I mean, you should have given them like whoever set that up should have given them like a 3-point handicap, because I would be very surprised to see Bird Noises take 2 rounds in this match.
Yeah, well, that's where I like to believe. I'm a 20 believer, you know, SLIN.
The 20 believer. I love it. Yeah. And I'm glad they brought their name back, by the way, because Street Hoops is just way cooler than Team Saluber.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's one of those things where it's a known name in TF2. It has a lot of notoriety. You know, people see 20B and they recognize it. You know, you have people in Twitch chat spamming memes with fucking meme stopper. Oh, I just swore.
You call it memes?
I apologize.
You call it memes?
Memes,
oh,
memes,
my
whatever.
Goodness. Well, now Ascent are known as Ronin, and apparently they're like one of the newer sponsors in the esports scene, and they have a top tier Paladins team that they sponsor, as well as a Counter-Strike team in Premier, which is the division below Invite. So if you haven't heard of Ronin, that's okay. Now everyone will know that they not only have a top tier Paladins team, but also a top tier TF2 team.
Paladins. I think Blaze tried to get me to play that, and then like a week later he messages me. He's like, yeah, they made the game really bad now.
It's like a fun game to pick up and play for the first hour, and then if you play it for more than 6, I'm surprised anyone plays the game more than 6 hours, because it doesn't have the longevity that you get from other games. But it does fall into the same kind of category as, like, you know, TF2, Overwatch, and maybe even Tribes, if you want to lump it into that kind of category, where it's not like a shooter like a CS:GO kind of like FPS game. It's more like almost got an arena shooter feel to it. But TF2 is obviously the better game.
I see, but it looks like Psy is actually finally here, so we should be readying up momentarily.
Oh, I am so ready. I'm so ready to watch this. Outstanding players from either team. Ronin, I think, just have like a stellar roster across the board. I think they have like best in slot on virtually every class. Maybe you could make an argument for 404 and Kozin, but other than that, I think they have best in slot, right? And then on the other team, Bird Noises, you've got Indust on Medic, who has been playing at the top of Invite for quite some time now. So he's still learning. He's always trying to improve himself, but you know, he's definitely up there as one of the best medics in the division. And then Look out for Psy Guy, who I've been hearing a lot of noise about. Look out for Link User to he had a really stellar game in the matches we were casting the other week. And then Hellbent maybe might be able to come up with something here on these middles. We talk about him needing to go big if they want to get a mid win.
He will have to, so it looks like I was right in the earlier pregame analysis, as Badonsky is on the wee booties, so...
That's the thing to do now, huh? Badonsky's doing it, then that's the thing to do.
Well, you know, I think Dwatna, I think he's a little more against it as an item, as he feels like they're definitely a little too strong. As I do think, like, booties in the right hands, like here, you know, as we saw last game, both demo men are just running it. As on certain mids, it's, you know, way superior. As Badonsky, you know, hits the early sticky on Psy. Psy's up top, 111 health. He drops down, gets the pack. The scouts just kind of pistoling each other. Nothing's really happening so far early in the mid. As looks like we have soldiers. Both teams just kind of playing a spam game, but Ronin is just getting the better end of this. As 2 players in the deep red on Bird Noise. There's 3 people in the deep red now. This should be a Ronin victory. Van goes down, Hellbent goes down, and this is probably going to end up becoming a wipe here, SLIN, as we have a 1 HP scout leaving.
Yeah, and Mela, often the unsung hero, really put the pressure on Bird Noise in that mid because he was able to get into the garage, get behind the enemy team, and make them constantly turn around and look backwards. It looked like Ronin the entire time had the surround on Bird Noises, and Hellbent tried to make some space but ended up eating a lot of damage and got taken down right away. A good thing for Bird Noises, though, they were able to get their medic out alive here, so it's going to be an even Uber situation pushing last, but the man advantage from Ronin probably triggers the push here.
It will, so we do have the scout pick. Link User trying to come up NG. I'm interested to see, is Ronin gonna... No, they're doing a Mela sack, as Mela just gets kind of dumpstered there by an air shot. Barely escaping
Shrugger,
that.
though,
Well,
goes
Shrugger's
in for Indus.
He's on Indus, only does about 25 damage in total, but Tinkertown will gladly shut that effort down, as we do see a push happening from up top here, but I think Badonsky is looking at that, and they're in a lot of trouble, I feel like. This is what I was talking about, SLIN, the two-man sack.
I was gonna say that your pre-game analysis is on point, Blake, because you brought up the 2-man sacrifice that teams are doing these days. Rando actually gets popped in though, and Indus doesn't use. Rando's gonna try and go for the right side, gets the force out of Indus there, and gets in a bit of trouble, gets taken down. But they've actually done a good job of putting Indus Uber in a weird positioning where he's not really able to do much with it. So they actually take down Hellbent on second point here, and they have a man advantage for Ronin.
Yeah, so Hellbent, he managed to get behind, whiffed a rocket though at the very last second. I would have been able to kill 404. We do have a slight Uber ad here for 404 sitting at the second, as we have Link User building a gun. Are we going to see any off-classing from Ronin? No, I imagine they're going to do a 2-man sack again.
Well, no, they knew that they popped the Uber earlier onto Rando, and then Indus popped so much later. They know they have an advantage. They're pretty sure of it. Now, actually, Indus has been building very well here. He's actually managed to somehow bring the Uber advantage to only 10%, despite 404 trying his best to build his own Uber. They're going to swap Shrugger over to Sniper, and I think they're probably just going to try and make some space for him and see what they can do with the Sniper play.
Yeah, Shrugger actually peeks out and doesn't even take a shot there, so peeking out here on the left side. Ooh, I feel like oh my god, Shrugger. Okay, I see you, Shrugbug, as manages to get the med pick, SLIN, and that should be just a full Uber coming out from Ronin.
Yeah, I've heard people say that Shrugger is arguably the best sniper in North America right now, and Hellbent trying his best to do a Shrugger impression, but the Uber's going to get popped by 404. They're going to roll it right in after taking down the gun. Indus actually has respawned, so they're going to be able to play the health here. It's actually a 6-on-6 fight. Mela comes in over the top, though, puts a deep rockets in on the side guy and brings him down. He's actually putting a lot of distraction there by making them shoot up at that pipe, so now Rando's going to jump in to try and help out. He does take down Hellbent and manages to stay alive himself. Now Shrugger in here as well to help out. Rando on a 2K, actually. Shrugger now in to get the third, and they're on the point. Rando's there. Uber saws from either medic, and that's going to be the round for Ronin. 1-0.
That was really close, but the 404 arrows there, he hit about 4 arrows spread across the soldiers there. That really kind of salvaged the fight there. 404, 4 arrows, winning the game. 404 arrows were found, actually.
Or was it or 4? Was it 4? I'm not quite sure. Yeah, good last push there by Ronin. It's Shrugger is so good on Sniper, and Banowski's actually beating Psy Guy out to middle and sticking him out. So Psy Guy hasn't actually had a chance to get any shots in yet. Now it does land one on a Banowski, but picks up the health pack, and looks like we're gonna settle into this middle as Link User takes over that top left crate with the help of Van. Now the high bomb from Hellbent. He's gonna try and get behind and does land rockets onto 404. It's so low, but 404 manages to stay alive. Meanwhile, the rest of Bird Noises have done a good job of working off of that distraction and getting some frags. So they've lost the soldiers, they lost the scouts for Ronin, and Bird Noises pick up the middle.
Ooh, my prediction potentially looking pretty good here, Slin. Like I said, Granary mid is, uh-oh. Is this a pause?
Uh-oh. Well, you were saying something though, which is that Bird Noises could potentially pick up a middle and then maybe take a round that way. 4-4 did manage to stay alive though. He ate 2 rockets from Hellbent and somehow lived, and no one on Bird Noises was there to follow up on that kill. So they were all busy dealing with the other bomb, the counter sacks from Ronin. So Badonsky 404, that dynamic duo, have managed to stay alive on second point, and looking for Badonsky to maybe slow down second point here as Bird Noises roll their way in.
Yeah, we do have all of the spawns, though, coming up for Ronin. And I think my prediction for the one round was if they had managed to have a full Uber advantage from killing the medic at mid. So it doesn't appear to be the case here. I'm interested to see what they like to do here. Are they going to do the double soldier left side like we're used to seeing? Badonsky is, he's very smart about that among like all the demo men and invite. Like he's one that will constantly rotate his traps. You know, most teams, you know, the demo men just stickies the left shutter, and that makes you walk up the steps to kill the roamer. But Badonsky, you know, he'll trap off Z, he'll put a trap up top, you know, he's very tricky.
Yeah, and he did have a trap over in the tire trying to cover Z. It looks like Indus is going to try and rotate up through the stairs, though, with Vol. They're not even going to begin corner capping, the second point. Mela's not really in a position to hold off Vol, but now he is. They're going to double soldier spam Vol out of there, so they're not really going to be able to get that Uber in like they want to. Vol's going to rotate it out. Now, Saigai trying by himself to put pressure on the second point, but now the combo's there for Ronin, and that's going to be an even Uber hold. Like you mentioned, Blank, that those respawners coming in quickly for Ronin.
And, you know, Ronin, unlike where we saw with the bugs, where even if they were just down one, like, especially Mousy in that one scenario, they elected to give up the point even when they had Uber. You're not going to see a team like Ronin do that. They will fight you at every junction that they can if they believe it's a fight they can take.
Well, Mela's over here by the stairs landing rockets onto Hellbent. Almost gets the kill onto him. Now he's trying to fight Vol, and he's actually doing a decent job there as well. Mela now is getting helped by Yomps and Rando, who've rotated over, and they pick up the kills on the flank, and this is looking terrible now for Bird Noises. They pop their Uber. The better Uber hasn't even been used by 404. Now Indus surfing around by Rando on the right side yard gets taken down very late in the fight.
Well, you know, Rando just hitting those middies on an invincible player, trying to show off, but it's like I said, they went for the double soldier shove on the left side, but Ronin, being a good team like they are, elected to just push out, like, I think it was Z or right side, and pressured them and just had a ton of picks and forced an Uber, and here they are with a full Uber advantage, pushing in a 2. It's a 6v4. And they're just walking in. Sniper dies there wherever he is, and there's a sentry gun going up at last. But yeah, Ronin's just going to walk right in here as they have the complete advantage. Walking in now. Brad should be Ubering any second now. Vol goes down. Sentry gun's up. Can he save Rando? Yes, and this is going to be another round right here, SLIN.
And I really like the play calling there by Ronin. They went left yard. They avoided the sniper and forward spawn from Hellbent. And Ronin just seems to be one step ahead of Bird Noises, and we talked about how Granary is a map where the lesser team could potentially take middles and potentially get rounds, but the reason I predicted Ronin to get 5-0 here is because I'm just confident that they're going to be able to take it back, and Ronin seemed to be just as confident as well.
They do for sure, SLIN, but I'm watching Badonsky on these mids. As last mid, you know, he kind of had Bird Noises just trapped up top there, but ooh, side hits are really good sticky, and Badonsky's actually in a little bit of trouble here. Bird Noise was able to get out top though, and Yomps actually going down really early here. Like, this might be a Bird Noises mid to take, as things are ending up really scrappy. Hellbent though, oh my goodness, 3 people in the red on Bird Noises. Can Ronin convert these kills? It's not looking to be the case. Link user does go down though, SLIN.
Oh, but they're jumping in. Hellbent, though, puts the pressure on the combo. Now Saigai bombs in over the top. Struggler, though, is able to get that kill and is able to keep 4-4 alive. And he's going to try his best to run his way out through the right yard, but Vol's hot on his tail. Yomps, the respawner who died early on middle, is going to be there to hold off with 404. And they haven't gotten any mid-cap time yet, but this should be easy for Bird Noises. I like the decision by them to try and chase 404 out. But yeah, Bird Noises, they did get that early pick on the Yomps, which secured them the mid.
That it did. I told you, SLIN, this map, the mid fights can be relatively a coin toss. You know, I think this is 2 out of 3 Bird Noises mids now. You know, so technically, you can look at it as they have a 66.6% win rate on this mid so far.
That's actually a really good point. I think for Ronin, they were doing a lot of damage, but they didn't focus fire quite as well, and there were so many hurt players on Bird Noises. I was surprised that Ronin didn't win that out there, but it looks like they've gotten their respawners back. They have control of Yard, and like you said, that Yard is a good buffer space to get the force out of Indus and kite it away, so it's going to be difficult for Bird Noises to push into Yard here, and then probably going to go for a one-man sacrifice, or if they're really ballsy, they might go for the even Uber exchange.
Yeah, I don't see them electing to do an even Uber exchange. An even Uber exchange out of this break, or like into this hold, is just so difficult. I mean, all the doorways are just spammed out. It's kind of like the 2.5 choke problem we talked about here on Granary as to why at this point it's just so stalemated out.
Yeah. We're talking about how important it is for the soldiers to play well on a map like Granary, and you do have already early on, like, Rando's at like 350 damage per minute, Mela's at like 300 damage per minute, Benazzi's actually getting like 350 damage per minute as well, so the heavies for Ronin are putting up the numbers that they need, and that's what's keeping them here in this match up 2-0 despite losing those middles. It does look like Hellbent's going to go for the sacrifice play off of the right side Yard through the choke. Doesn't get it to go. 404 able to stay away from that and does stay alive. Now, is Ronin going to go for the full push there, or are they going to go for the one-man sack right back at them?
It's looking like they're electing to do something here along the left side. Benazzi getting a little hurt, but Rando is walking his way out with this Uber. This is...
Oh,
yeah,
Van's
they're
so
going to get
low
forced off
too.
really early, but Van dies. It's a much better Uber for Endust here, but they should be able to trade out Rando really soon. Will Mela go down too? Oh no, living with 5 HP there. Uh-oh, this is just disastrous. So...
Oh, man. The cockiness from Ronin to go for that push. They took their time. They were trying to clear out Sickies and Garage, and the combo came in and popped so early, and wow, Bird Noise were able to just hold that off beautifully. Indus just waited so long to pop that Uber, and they just collapsed on top of Ronin, brought all the members down, and Bird Noises are actually looking really good to close out a round here.
Yeah, that was... I just have to say that sheer cockiness from Rando's part. I mean, they did get the early scout pick on Van, but he was at bottom left choke when the entire combo and a demo man and a scout were on top of the red crate shooting down on him. Like, that's where if you Uber there as Soldier, he'd probably just want to do a 180 and just sack there. Like,
well, in
yeah,
404 too, I'm surprised that he was stayed in middle for so long. He knew that Indus had the better Uber, and he still got caught out there. So, not the best play from Ronin, but you know that's what happens. Sometimes you gotta push your limits to see what's gonna happen. And looks like they have a sentry gun set up level 1. It looks like Yomp's trying to get it to level 2 there. Shrugger sniping on the right side wall. He's gonna try and force Indus. Indus does pop pretty early though and brings it in. They do spot out this gun. Bull's gonna try and stam it down by himself. They bring in Sai Guy to try and create some space now, but this isn't looking like the best Uber here from Bird Noises, and with that body shot from Mela onto Indus, it's looking really good for Ronin to play the heals and hold this last point.
Yeah, this push is ending up to be a disaster here for Bird Noises. I think the only pick they're going to manage to get even is Shrugger. Is now 404 is going to have a full advantage Uber. 2 people up. It's Sai Guy, I believe, is a respawn. No, he managed to get out, but he kills Badonsky. That's actually fairly big pick here, as that might slow Ronin's push in the middle. Actually, no, they're going to be down a Soldier and a Scout, so we should... Getting caught up on my words. We should still see the push coming out from Ronin.
Yeah, but isn't that really unique from Mela? Like, how many times have you seen Mela get a medic pick on Sniper? That was really weird to see there, as Mela's actually the one leading the charge. Now Rando's in here as well to try and trap Indus in the yard. They actually chase after Sai Guy. Shrugger's able to get behind him and keep him in play. They take him down. Now Indus is trapped over here by the yard. He goes down 4-4, full health, looking very able to hold off against this bomb from Hellbent. He does stay alive, and 3 very hurt members of Ronin managed to stay alive against Bird Noises, and they've sold out. Unfortunately, Indus did get caught out in the yard there. Ronin, with that sneaky right side yard push, were able to get the kills there if needed.
Yeah, that was also, though, I mean, it was a little questionable for Bird Noises trying to peek their way in a right side yard when you were down numbered and the other team had a full Uber advantage on you.
Yeah, that's questionable. That is a very good question there. I think Bird Noises got a little bit greedy and paid the price for that. So it looks like Ronin now in control of this round. It looked like it was going to be a Bird Noises round there too, right, Blake?
It was, but they waited like a little too long. Their 60% Uber had turned to about 35 before they eventually popped. And not only that, Vol seemed on a little bit of a separate page from Sai Guy there, as he went in like 4 seconds before Sai even got his first flash of Uber here. But we do see Ronin pushing the point with Uber, SLIN.
Yeah, there's a trap there, gets dead off by Psy Guy, and Mela finds a kill on the Hellbent over by the upper battlements. So looks like Ronin have the man advantage despite even Ubers, and Bird Noises are not even going to try for a force. They're just going to give up all that space. Link user swaps over to NG. I don't know if this is going to be in time though. This might be too late. Hellbent's still dead for another 6 seconds, and looks like Yomps is in for the push. Takes down Van, and Ronin looking like they might explore push right side. Rando's going to get pushed back, and they still they maybe want to go. Looks like Sugar goes for the sacrifice. The bomb from Hellbent onto Badonsky catches him in, and wow, that actually puts Ronin 3 players down.
Yeah, they're 3 players down. It looks like, is Vol gonna try and push up top here? Now he dips down to about 100 health. Endus isn't with him, and he's actually out of ammo too. I mean, they're trying to create some aggression here, but you know, this is once again, it's like the 2-man sack play, SLIN. 2-man sack play is coming into effect, but this is gonna be a 3-0 right here. This should be.
Jeez Louise, Indus, unfortunately for him, he ends up dropping a couple players on what was an even Uber push in the second point. Now, man, Ronin is going to be able to clean that up so easily. 3-0 is your scoreline heading into the halftime, but that was not the final score that I expected after watching that match, because I really expected Bird Noises to take that round, and then that sloppy play there, despite that, like you said, they like Ronin just sacrificed a couple players in the last, and then Bird Noises were the ones to make the mistake.
Yeah, definitely. It's like I said, the 2-man sack, which the newer teams just seem to have a trouble dealing with. Anytime you're sitting at your last, and the other team sacks 2 players and you still have Uber, you shouldn't try to all-out commit onto the point, because on a tiny point like Granary, if you have like 3 people standing there and they Uber a pocket and demo on the point to fight you, like, your medic can't possibly save all those players, so it's almost like a reverse pick situation. That's where, like, ideally you want to just edge the point with a scout, and like have them stickied off with the rest of your team behind spamming, so that like they decide to push in and block with their Uber. At most, they're maybe killing a scout, you know? Or like you Uber your scout and like you still keep your players alive.
Sure. I think it's really interesting that they say that trends are cyclical, and it's kind of funny that like way back in the day they did 1-man sacks and they did 2, and then they expanded it to 3 and 4, and it's kind of funny to see the 2-man sacks coming back into style again, and how like Ascent are like you mentioned in the precast, is like they're doing these 2-man sacrifices, which is enough incentive for Bird Noises to try and push out, and then they're the ones to make the mistake. They're the ones to botch the push, and then you know Ronin come right back in and clean up that round so easily. So it turns a situation where it's very difficult to push last. Let's just let them push out. Let's let them swap off the engineer and try and make the mistake, and then Ronin are able to capitalize on that transition play rather than trying to break a solid hold.
Yeah. Definitely, but I don't know. I still have faith. I want my 1 round, SLIN. I'm gonna get it. I feel like
I would
Bird
love
Noises,
to see them take one.
They've had the chances to do so. They've had about 3 or so now.
Well, I don't know. I think that Ascent are just playing a very solid game. I think that Bird Noises, if they hadn't been so greedy on that one play where they were just overstayed in yard and allowed Mela and Rando to bomb in on them and clean them all up, I think like if that hadn't happened, like Bird Noises would actually still be in that round. They just got ahead of themselves there and tried to they bit off more than they could chew. So Ronin looking very comfortable in this match. I think in the first rounds they were looking like cocky or like disrespectful almost, where they were just like, yeah, we could just go on anything. But they sort of pulled back from that since then. They give Bird Noise a little bit more respect, and now they're playing the solid game and making it 3-0.
True, and also the thing is, with a team like Bird Noises versus Ronin, if you make a greedy mistake, they will punish you, and they will punish you very hard, as we saw.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And looks like we're going into the second half here. 3-0 is the score line, and we're all waiting with bated breath to see if Bird Noises can take their first round, or will Ronin just roll their way through and make it 5-0? As Psy Guy again going catwalk. He's been very consistent about going catwalk and eats those stickies from Badonsky, but he's able to eat the health pack top left as well, keep a little bit higher health. He's now taking too much damage, going to back off. So looks like Ronin have the better part of the early duel. Now Rando's the one taking over control of Garage, and wow, Badonsky's eating some damage, but they're able to get Vol off that kill. Now Mela in, on behind, does land a bunch of rockets onto Psy Guy, puts him very low. Shrugger and Yomps are collapsing onto Indus. They get the kill there, and now it's only Van and Hellbent to try and save the day. Van now the only player alive. It's the 1 versus 1, and 404 is trying his best to back out through choke. Van, half health, is gonna go pursue. I'm surprised he didn't grab the health back there, but he gets the kill anyways. 404 goes down, and Bird Noises come out with another mid victory, Blake.
So what is that now? 75% win rate.
75. Wow. Yeah.
They just got to work on their conversions at 2 and last, especially their Uber pushes. They really just haven't been able to figure out like what to do against Ronin once they have them on the defensive.
Yeah, but this is as good a chance as any because they kill 404 super late. So Indus is going to have himself a 40% advantage. And Bird Noises are actually sneaking their way into left yard. Oh, wow. Mela on Sniper again. Gets a kill on the Psy guy, and Link User and Vol are going to evacuate. So they were trying to take left yard, but Mela on Sniper surprised them. They get the kill there on the Demo Man, and actually Ronin want to push.
Yeah, Indus, I think he's calling a hold close here, but they really need to start using, like, holding close even when they're down 1 with this giant Uber ad here.
Oh
so,
my goodness,
Mela
just,
just,
alright,
alrighty. This is a DM server now. Mela's just going in, toggling left and right, and now, you know, Yamps and Shrugger are just gonna waltz right in as, this is about as free a mid as you get.
That just should not happen. I mean, we're talking like insane, like the percentage of shots that Mela was hitting right there is ridiculous, like 80% or something, like 90%. And looks like Psy Guy, like one of the few members alive, does get the kill on the Sharker over in yard, but like it's just looking, oh, just stop, dude, just stop. Mela is on fire right now, waltzing his way in through the yard and getting kills.
Yeah, well, this kind of piggybacks off the Psy Guy pick they got earlier, but anytime you give a sniper space, you know, you're kind of playing into the hands, you know, SLIN, because you know when you go down 1, you try to hold back, but if you hold back, you just can't punish a sniper, and Mela just abusing it to the maximum here, as we do have the full Uber coming out from Ronin. They're in here, they managed to kill Vol, and Dust goes down. We should see a quick 4th round now.
Yeah, and Ronin are just 4 versus 1 on last point, and Mela just getting the body shot in there to get the 4-0. And yeah, it's really tough for Bird Noise in that situation, right? You play close, you're playing into 404 Zuber, you play back, and you're playing into Mela Sniper. You have no options. All you have to do is just try and stall as best you can and try and get Indus's Uber, but they were just getting picked off, and Mela was taking advantage of every head that he could possibly find, and Mela just clutching that round for his team. I mean, it didn't need to happen, but the fact that it happened is just amazing here as we head into what could be the final round. Match point for Ronin as they're already getting the kill on the Van, who was just completely overextended on the middle. Mela and Yomps trying their best to punish that right side. Mela gets the 1-for-1 trade onto Vol. Now Rando gets in here. The air shot onto Indus to take him down. Link User in a bit of trouble, and now it's only Psy Guy alive once again. And Ronin are just looking to close out this match 5-0, and Bird Noises just have no answers.
Yeah, this is looking like the 5-0 that you called, but it's the Mela Sniper, just like the Rakuso Heavy. I feel like I've been robbed.
The Mela Sniper is insane. Like, you have these lower level players in TF2 asking like, oh, is Sniper viable? And Sixes is like, well, Sniper's only viable if you're hitting like 70% of your shots, and Mela is definitely hitting at least 70% of his shots here as they push into last. Shrugger, Rando leading the way. They don't get the kill on the heavy, but they do find the sentry gun and Hellbent as well on the left side. Indus now goes down. Bull on the high ground is very damaged. He falls, and this should be academic for Ronin to clean up the rest of this match here and make it a 5-0. Ronin, a very convincing win over the 4th place team Bird Noise, is gonna bring them down to 5 and 6. So yeah, Ronin go to 1st place in the division, 10 and 1. Bird Noises at 5 and 6, just 1 game ahead of Street Hoops. So that 4th place race is close. But, I mean, Ronin have definitely secured themselves a playoff spot now.
Definitely, but, you know, at least it's kind of like we said, there were glimpses, you know, they won a good amount of the mids. 60% of the mids, that's a pretty decent percentage, and they definitely had their opportunities to, you know, do things in this game, but Ronin a little too clean, too polished, and unforgiving.
I think once, like, it was looking like Bird Noises were actually putting up a good fight because they were winning a majority of the mids, and then once Mela went on a tear on Sniper, it just like shut down all the momentum from Bird Noise. They just like lost all hope, and from there it was just over. So Ronin, a very convincing win. They had the best record in the division, in the league, so we'll see how the rest of their season fares. I think the only real contenders to get up against them really are, I mean, what do you think, Blank? Like Froyotech, and then EVL have a good record, but last time they lost 0-5, so it's really looking like only Froyotech
I
and
think
Street
it comes
Hoops
down
maybe.
to Froyotech and Street Hoops. Yeah, kind of like how last season played out, I suppose. Although I think It depends. Is Ronin still like a cut above come playoffs? You know, you'll have to see. There's still time for the other teams to develop, but they're definitely the heavy favorite going into it.
Well, if Mela plays like that on Sniper again, I think that there's no hope for anyone else in TF2 at all. Like, I think that's just a TF2 easy for him. So, that's a good match, but that's gonna wrap it up for us. We had a closer match. It was a 5-2 victory with Running with Scissors versus the Bugs, and then the 5-0 stomp of Ronin over Bird Noises. Do you have any last words for us in this cast, Blank?
Just a shout out to everybody that's, out there watching the cast and whatnot. Hope you guys learned a thing or two and enjoyed the cast.
Well, I certainly enjoyed having you back on the cast, Blank. It's really good to have you as a co-caster, and hopefully we'll see you on more of the cast later on this season. Big thank you, big shout out, big thank you to Mathsad, our cameraman, and also Marbler, who popped in for a bit. And thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We hope you enjoy TF2 as much as we do, and thank you so much for tuning in. With competitive matchmaking on the horizon, it looks like there's going to be a lot more casts to be had, a lot more TF2 to be watched. So definitely check us out. Teamfortress.tv is the website. And on the sidebar on the left side, you'll be able to find all of our upcoming matches, all of our upcoming casts. So thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend, guys, and we'll see you next week.